Okay, this is the old injector pump right here. I believe the optical sensor right there is out in this thing. I ran vegetable oil in it for 30 minutes and then it started to run like shit. So here's the pin right here that you have to guide it into. So when you take the old one out, make sure you turn your new pump to orient it the same way as the old one came out, so you can put the new one, just slide it right in. I already have the new one bolted in there. Let's see if you can see it. That's the filler neck that you're going to have to release. And there's your tube. There's just two bolts here to take this oil filler tube off. And you'll have to bar the engine over, and the way I did that was bump it over. I left one of the bolts. There's 3 bolts in here, and there's 3 nuts on the outside here holding the pump on. I left the pump bolted on from the outside here, and from here I bumped it over until the bolts were accessible, and then the last bolt I took it out, didn't bump it over at all anymore, took the pump out, put the new pump back in, and then bolted it up because it would already line up, and then I bumped it over to get the other 2 bolts in. If you bump it over without one of those bolts in, then you're going to have to retime everything. I got to put all these lines back on, and here's just a bundle of plugs and garbage that this pump needs. Okay. Injection lines are all hooked up. It's really not that difficult. It's not as bad as it seems, especially these bottom 2 back here. It looks really tough, but they actually came out and went back in pretty easily. So I'll tell you what I used was a 19mm. That's what those injector lines are. And I cut this open. I took a grinder and cut it open. That way I can slide it on and use it as like a flare nut wrench. So, and this is just some crappy great nut wrench, so it's not a big deal. You're going to need one of these mirrors, and that's so you can look into the hole, which the oil filler tube is now in, to see when you're bumping the motor over, to see if your bolts are exposed so you can get to them. There's only 3 of them there and a pin. And that pin, it's like a roll pin, and that pin will guide you into the gear. And oops, that's it. I'm going to put the intake back on. I'm going to vacuum out. I had paper towels into all these ports here. I pulled those, and I'm going to vacuum it out and throw the intake back on. Make sure you tighten the hell out of these things too, these injector lines, because they're at some ungodly PSI when the thing is running. And I'm going to try to prime it a little by taking the filler here where the inlet is. Here's your inlet, and then this one over here in front of the fuel shutoff solenoid is your return. I'm going to pour a little diesel in each one of these, and hopefully it gets going a little quicker. And these things are kind of a pain here. These all these electrical connections you have, but each one is color coded, and it goes to different stuff, and a lot of them are different pins, so you shouldn't have a problem putting that back up. For instance, this is for that goes to the fuel solenoid shutoff valve. Sorry, but it's pretty similar to the thermostat one, which you'll probably unplug just to make it easier. And both of those are pretty similar to this one right here, which goes up on the intake manifold, but it's gray, and the socket for it on the intake manifold is gray as well. These are both white, and then these are both black, so you shouldn't have a problem hooking all that stuff back up. It's not really a big deal. Make sure you do hook everything up, otherwise you're going to be fighting around with it. And that's it for now.